All right, so our last review of the day is going to be for a film called Death of a Unicorn. Death of a Unicorn is one of the latest A24 films here. This is starring Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. So this film involves Paul Rudd there and Jenna Ortega, who are father and daughter team there. While Paul Rudd is taking his daughter on a work trip there to his boss's family home, they end up running into a unicorn, actually hit and run there with the unicorn going on, and they discover the existence of these kind of magical creatures. And then once they kill one of them, then the family of that unicorn comes back and picks these people off one by one. Here, this very rich family that he's involved with. He's the lawyer of this family, and amongst the family, you also have Will Poulter, who we just talked about in Warfare. There, like I said, this guy he's blowing up. He's in everything there. You also have Tia Leone in this. You got Richard E. Grant. You have Anthony Carrigan in this as well. There, Anthony Carrigan, who is the butler for the very rich family. So it's a horror film involving unicorns there, and it's a pretty kind of gruesome one, maybe more than you expect from the concept of unicorns. Chris, what are your thoughts here on Death of a Unicorn?
Yeah, this is a movie that I went to into with kind of low expectations because it had not been getting the greatest buzz when it first came out. Like I think it showed at South by Southwest and had kind of a muted reception there, which and festival hype that can sort of backfire with a lot of movies where people at festivals watch a movie and talk about how great it is, and then you actually get around to seeing it yourself, and it's like, it's fine, but it's not all that. So to hear people like weren't even digging this at a festival makes you go like, oh, something must be wrong. And maybe it lowered expectations does play a part into it, but I thought it was fine. Like, it's definitely not like a new instant classic or anything like that. There's some missed opportunities that I think it could have taken that it doesn't. It doesn't go as far as I think it could with its premise, but I do think the stuff that it does have going for it are a lot of the dark comedy scenes that they get into once the family is aware of the unicorn and what they say they can do with it and what they end up doing with it. Particularly what Will Poulter's character does with the unicorn's essence. I will say in key circumstances and the things that he does with like its dust and whatever, which I won't get into too much because it's worth seeing in the movie, are really fucking funny. And when the carnage does start, it is really well done, and they have some really cool kills in there, even though the CG is really not that good at all. Like when they hide the unicorn, it's a lot more effective, but when they actually show it, like in that shot right there, you can see it's like, yeah, the effects aren't really all there, which sucks because it's another movie where you can tell that they put a lot of work into planning out all the set pieces and the kills and everything like that, hoping that the effects would like be super convincing when the movie was done, and it's just really not. Like you can see the seams in pretty much every scene, like except for the few where they use an animatronic. And I think a lot of the actors do a good job. Will Poulter, I think, is the MVP of the movie. He can get a laugh just through his delivery, even when the line's not that great. He says it in a way that makes it funny. Uh, Richard E. Grant is not in the movie as much as you'd probably think, but he is really funny. Like once he gets to go full like classic Richard E. Grant ham. Paul Rudd is solid. He gets a chance to play sort of against type in this movie. He plays much more of a spineless weasel than you tend to see him play in a lot of other movies, to where you're just a lot of times you're just like, man, fuck this guy. And Jenna Ortega is fine, although I will say I do feel like she is starting to get very much typecast in a very particular role as the moody goth teenager who complains about her parents and everything that's going on around her and all that. Like this feels very much like a copy and paste of her character from Beetlejuice. They might as well have just called her fucking Astrid for all they cares. But yeah, all those good things I mentioned managed to balance out the stuff that I think is kind of lackluster or could have been better, to where I can see this movie gaining like a cult following somewhere down the line. But as it is right now, like it's not a great movie, but I do think it has enough going for it to where check it out at least once and see where you land on it. I had a decent enough time to where I wasn't angry for sitting through it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's kinda where I stand on it. I think it's just okay. It's just fine. I think there's some decent kills in here that work really well. Like I said, it's pretty maybe more gruesome than maybe you expect it to be, which I think is nice. There's some moments what the unicorns do to some of the people that's like, "Oh, shit," you know? That's actually pretty good and works pretty effectively. Paul Rudd and the combination of him, like, Paul Rudd, it's a little bit different than what he's doing. Like I said, he plays a little bit more Weasley kinda character here. But he gets some kind of good stuff of why he is the way he is. Kind of a more backstory with the mother and everything. Jenna Ortega, like you said, it's another role. She plays a moody teenager. Like I said, very much reminiscent of her role in Beetlejuice again. Um, in that, and I think yeah, she's very much pigeonholed in kind of that role there. And I wish she'd break out of that a little bit there. I don't think she did that in Scream. I think Scream she didn't really do that too much in that in those
Right.
movies. But yeah, so that was kind of a little there. But the family when they go to the actual his boss's family's house there with them, even though a lot of it are they're playing typical evil rich people in their nature, very arrogant, very condescending, very stupid, very dangerous. There with that, and then all the things that kind of they realize what they can do with the unicorn. That brings out. I think they provide a lot of good comedy stuff there as well. Even though that stuff they with the rich people is a little played, they do a lot of good stuff comedy wise with them and the whole family. Will Poulter, I will agree. Yeah, he is really great with him, and he's the main kind of comedic relief of the movie, um, which kind of really works there as well with that. And then when it came to the actual um, conclusion and ending of it, I was like, okay, this is fine. It wraps up kind of nicely, maybe there in a way, even though there's something that happens with the unicorn does, where they're in a car. I'm like, wait, I mean, how did the unicorn expect them to save them from doing that? And if you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So that was a little
Hmm.
kind of like, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent enough movie there that you maybe can get some entertainment out of. I don't know. I know people when they see that label of A24, they're expecting maybe something either outright weird as hell or maybe something prestige or maybe that kind of thing there that
Subversive.
subversive, something, what I mean, that's gonna challenge people there. It's not really any of that, kinda going on here. I think with that, it's just kinda like, okay, it's a decent kinda slasher movie, but it's involving unicorns, and that kinda goes on, and there's some interesting stuff they like I said, they do with the properties of the unicorn, the essence of the unicorn, I think, as you say there, with that makes it kinda work, and then, of course, you always have to bring in the lore with a lot of these anytime horror movie, there's always somebody who has to dig into the lore and like, "Oh, they do this because of this reason, and we have to fight them because of how," and that's kinda the role that Jenna Ortega plays in the movie there is what she kinda does. Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's kinda mainly kinda my thoughts on it really there. It's kinda just while I'm walking, I was like, "Okay, it was decent enough," but you said this didn't even really get that much play at a festival, really, at South by Southwest, which this seems like a festival type movie that usually that crowd would kinda eat up, because of something like this, but I guess it didn't work for them. Um, for me, I would just kinda give it mm, I'd give it, like, a stream it for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat, like torn between high stream it or a really, really low tune in. Like I'm in sort of that sphere right there because I do think there is enough stuff about it that works. And yeah, I agree. I do think that this is an instance where you can see sort of the A24 label starting to work against certain movies of theirs because people will go in expecting something a lot more significant, um, or a lot more ambitious than what this movie is trying to do. This movie is just trying to be like a straightforward like creature feature, and there you've seen better creature features. Like there's a lot of scenes in this, especially when the carnage starts, that will remind you of Jurassic Park, and it's not done nearly as well as any of those similar kinds of scenes in Jurassic Park, but I will say it does it better than some of the actual Jurassic Park sequels that try to copy those scenes, so I'll give it that much. But yeah, I think if you go in with the proper expectations and the proper setting, you could have some fun with it. But I don't think it's going to be one that's like, again, I could see it getting a following, but not such a following to where it reaches like the Thing levels of like, wow, this movie is really like amazing and a huge landmark. And why didn't people understand this when it first came out? It's like, no, it's going to find like it's going to find like a comfortable niche spot for itself where it's like, hey, remember that movie? But it's not going to be one that people go to. It's like, man, that movie was really like so amazing. It's like, it's okay for what it is. Like, it doesn't set that high of a bar for itself, and it hits the bar, but it doesn't exceed the bar, which you kind of hope it would, but it just kind of doesn't.
Mm, yeah. Do you think it's kind of what if people watch the trailer? It's like okay, it kind of gives you what you expect. Maybe if you watch the trailer.
Uh, yeah, sort of. Like, I think you might expect more looking at the trailer. Like, I don't think it'll give you as much as what you would hope for looking at that trailer. But I think the trailer is fairly accurate in terms of what the movie is like and what it's setting out to do. It mostly just comes down to like the actual quality of what the final movie is versus the quality you expect looking at the trailer.
Mm, okay. Yeah. You kind of give it a lowish tune in. I give it a stream it there for Death of Unicorn. I don't think it's playing in theaters anymore. It'd probably be on, probably if not already on streaming already there. So perfect there if people wanted to kind of give it a check it out there. But I mean, I think it's a decent watch. Like I said, funny and some moments there. It provides some good humor and some good deaths, some good kills there. So you got that going on. So yeah, those were our thoughts on Death of Unicorn.